Love these old songs from the 70s. Should be here 1972, 73. Hey, thanks for checking into Stoney Raw. I got my next video here for you. Turn this down a little bit. Love the music, but gotta turn it down. Alright, there we go. Now we got a little bit of background music. So, if you've been watching, year now is 1972, 1973. I believe we had moved to Denver by this time, and we're living in Denver. And I'm about, let me see, 5 years old. So 72, I'd be 5 years old. And I have a little brother named Adam, and he is 2 years old. So here we are, happy little family, moving out to Denver, Colorado. I think we're there for a couple years. Again, 5 years old. I have a lot of memories of playing, I have a lot of memories of always getting in trouble for, again, picking on Adam. Getting spanked a lot, getting blamed. If Adam broke something, I did it. If, it's just everything, I guess that comes with territory of being an older brother. But I remember, this isn't a time period when you can spank your kids. I remember getting spanked a lot. And so I would say sometime in 1973, George and my mom split up. They end up getting a divorce. Again, there's a lot of things that I'm sure there's more to the story about what happened between 72 and 73, but as a kid, being 5 and 6 years old, don't, have specific memories of what happened in the adult world. I just remember as a child of what happening. And some of the memories I have of that, time period aren't that great. I do remember we had bunk beds, and I remember George cutting those bunk beds in half and taking, half with him and leaving half. So George took Adam at that time period. So Adam left with George. I stayed with my mom. So, that's what I remember. I remember a lot of crying that night. I remember him actually leaving. I remember Adam going with him. But again, the dynamics behind the scenes, I don't know or don't remember what was happening, in my mom's head. I do know there were stories that I've been told, again, not putting any truth or non-truth or, anything about what was said or done. The one thing that comes up quite a bit, and again, some of the things that are told, taints, opinion. Again, I don't remember this being said when I was younger, but I know I was told about it later, was that in that time period, and, when George left, and taking Adam, is leaving me with my mom. He adopted me, but yet takes off, leaves me with my mom. And, the story that I've been told, and again, this plays maybe into some future things with me, is I would never grow up to be nothing. I was a little Mexican kid. You'll never grow up and never do anything in your life. Now, whether that was said or not, I don't know. I was, 6 years old. My mom was angry. Father's angry. I think my mom's 22 years old when this is happening. She had me at 16, divorced at 18, basically a single mom, gets pregnant, has another child. Now she's 22. So she's 22, has 2 young kids, and has been married and divorced, or will be divorced twice. So, I don't know, I just look at the ages, I didn't really dawn on me until actually pretty recently, when you put things in perspective of how old your parents were when these things were going on. They're kids. I mean, at 21 and 22 years old, I was nowhere ready to have a child. I can't see, especially, I've done pretty well, but even at 21, 22, I'm not, working, at anywhere, substantially where I'm making a ton of money or anything. I'm probably working, let me see, 21, 22 years old. I just barely started my, career with a real job. Up until then, it was McDonald's, Burger King, or Burger Pit, Hickory Pit, Epic Foods. I didn't really start working for a real company until I was probably 19 or 20. And that, was still not top dollar. It was still entry level, probably a little better than minimum wage, but, it was enough to live on. But to have a kid at that age, there's just no way. I couldn't have done it. Um, so, looking back, Adam is gone. He's with George, and again, from what I understand from parents, is that there was no contact. My mom had no idea where Adam was. I remember spending, once that happened, going back to Grandma's house. I believe we lived with Grandma for a while when that happened, when George left and we were in Denver. I believe we moved back, to Grandma's house, and that's where we lived. And Adam was gone. I didn't. I would say, if I look at this, Adam was gone in '73. About a year later, in '74, I remember reuniting with them. So a year later. And that's where I'm going to kind of cut this one off at, because that'll be my next video, is back with George, and we'll get into some of that activity that happened at that time. But this segment is basically, where is Adam? We were raised together for a couple of years. And, Adam disappears from my life when he's 3 years old, and I'm about 6 years old. I started kindergarten. Looks like I started kindergarten there. One story I do remember from kindergarten, and looking at getting in trouble. One story, and some of these things come up as I'm thinking about the time period. But one of the stories I remember is I got in trouble in kindergarten. It was probably the off to kind of where I was going to be going in my life, but definitely got in trouble. I don't know how we got on the subject or what was going on, but I do remember telling my teacher that I went to the teacher and told her, and I don't remember what her name was, Miss Teacher. Do you know what God said when he made me? And she says, what, Stoney? And I said, oops, burnt another one. And yeah, I got in trouble for that, and I remember being sent home. Another time I remember in kindergarten is being sent home with lice. I don't know if that happened more than once, but definitely remember coming home with lice. The other thing, sorry I was going to cut this off, but I'm going to try to cut it off at 10 minutes. But the other thing that happened during this time period, and I think it was kindergarten, 6th grade time period, I was kindergarten. Yeah, it had to be kindergarten. Maybe it was the year after, 73, 74. But anyway, in a very young age, it was either kindergarten, 1st grade. We were living not with my grandma anymore, and we lived in a duplex type thing in Greeley there. This had to be 7. You know what? I'm going to save that. I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger. There's something I did, and I think it was 1974. I would have been 7 years old. But looking at this, man, I started kindergarten late at 6. Wow, I was a slow learner. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll just fade out with some music, period correct music. And feel free to ask questions if you have family members watching, and share the channel with them. Get them to, but, I want to tell my story. I want people to know about me. So thanks for watching. Until next time.